All right, good evening, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us this evening for the first session of our Level 1 coaching workshops. Just a couple of things, a bit of housekeeping. Can we all make sure our microphones are on mute so that we don't interrupt the speaker with background noise? Can we also ask that you guys save all your questions to the end of the presentation? That way SIPA can get through it quite quickly in lieu of the possible load shedding issues that we're going to encounter. And yeah, then I think from that's how that sort of takes care of the housekeeping. Just introductions. Obviously, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jerry Smith. I'm the Director of High Performance and Coaching at WBSA. We have also got Siphamandla Gumbi, who's now the appointed Head of Coaching for WBSA, and he sits on the Board of Trustees for WBSA in that position. And then also we welcome Head Coach of the High Performance Department as Trooper Johnson, who's obviously been with us for the last year, looking after our under 23s and under 25s. And Trooper will be basically in charge of the high performance sort of program from the playing perspective, and he'll be selecting the staff, the coaching, etc., and obviously the team. So and then of course welcome to everybody that joined us. It's good to see the numbers that have responded, and yes, hope that these sessions are beneficial, and then we can get you all through the program and qualified to take all our provincial clubs and teams, as well as obviously into the national teams, up and running. So thank you for that. Just a quick one. I'll cover this. These are the dates of the workshops. Obviously, the first one is tonight. The next one will be on Thursday, and basically Mondays and Thursdays until on session will be the 27th, and then 6th to 8th of March will be the practical evaluation at Mandeville. I'm just going to be muting a couple of microphones. There you go. All right. Yeah. So obviously, please keep a close watch on that, and we'll send out the meeting links on the day, so that we can just make sure that we've got everybody there. From our side, I think that covers it. So I'm going to hand it over to. Sorry, there's one more thing I just need to cover, and that is obviously the coaching policy now. WBSA is going to be quite strict on this coaching policy. So in order for your teams to play in the various competitions, so schools and PCCL clubs, your coaches have to have a minimum of an entry-level qualification. For the National Women's League, minimum level 1. I'll update the slides there. For some reason, the 1 stayed off there, as well as the Jomo Kamalo will be entry level. Terence de Bruin, minimum level 1. Your Super Sport, minimum level 2. And then your national team coaches, minimum of a level 2 or a FIBA qualification. And then your assistant coaches, minimum level 1. So those are going to be the criteria. So in Super Sport, if you have a coach that doesn't meet the minimum level, then you guys, WBSA will be imposing sanctions, etc. on you. So the onus is on you guys to make sure that you fulfill these qualifications. Alrighty, so I'm now going to hand over to Mr. Gumbi and ask him to take over.
Ngiyabonga, Baba Smith. Good evening, everyone. And I hope everybody's good. Yeah, I hope everybody's good.
Good evening. We're all good.
No, we're all good.
We're all good.
Alrighty. Such an overwhelming number. Appreciate it, guys, and thanks for coming through. And also acknowledging the request, and make sure that we do this thing right. And it's one of my elements. I highly appreciate it if there is a call out, and those that are responsible for, they actually pop in. And this is going to be like a very interactive sort of presentation. I may just call it a course. And I need you guys to really work with me on this one. And this is not a cut in stone, but to share ideas and make sure that, everybody is meeting, the requirements that WBSA wants to see. Basically, all of our coaches, being able to coach, whether level 1, level 2, from the grassroots level right up to the national setup. And I truly appreciate this, highly appreciate it. There are a lot of questions that when it comes to coaching that everybody should be looking into. One, we're going to be looking into the core values, okay? And obviously, I'm not going to elaborate a lot more about the classification. We will certainly have somebody who's qualified and will speak about classification and the new rules that have come through of classification. Roles and responsibilities. Jerry, I think on the top right corner, I think we still got your I think your face or something there. It's the icon there on the top right corner. If you can maybe remove that, I'm not sure whether you can. It's actually closing on some of the wording over there. So we're going to be speaking about the roles and responsibilities of the coach, how to set up plans, wheelchair maintenance. We know all the issues, that we face, especially at the low level, whereby, which is a big of an issue, and how to maintain them. Some players don't even know how to open up and enlarge an Excel, how to reduce an Excel. Things like that, it's very crucial. If the spokes missing, what the player should do, we'll talk about, to chat about that. Health and hygiene, very crucial, guys. I think we've got our health professionals here within wheelchair basketball that would actually look into that. Very crucial especially for the youngsters and newcomers into basketball, that we emphasize, put a lot of emphasis around our health and hygiene. We want to talk about pressure sores. We're talking about, synthetic stuff that normally most of the players are actually using. We talk about catheters, nappies, deodorant, skin, and everything. It's very crucial that we cover all of that. We're going to be talking about defense and offense. The basic game analysis. Coach T will come in there. Coach Trooper will come in there. And probably that will have a session on it on Thursday. Coaching philosophy, and obviously we're going to have a technical team coming through when they come talk about things like charge, and the basic game analysis and game plan. Sorry, we seem to have a repetition of that over there. Can you go to the next slide, Jerry? Okay. Basically, from my own perspective, it's imperative, that as a structure, obviously as a coach, within your programs, you must have core values. And obviously those core values actually point out that you as a coach, you have got to be accountable on whatever that you do, and be honest, and be in a level of professionalism that is required, your work ethics, great culture, and success. So if you do not have those core values, you do not have the level of professionalism and the honesty within your own programs, it's easy for somebody to see that it is fake, and it's also easy for the program to fail. And those core values start within yourself. As a coach, you must have integrity and truth. Be true to yourself. Know who you are in order to present, or maybe introduce, or maybe coach to the level that you want your athletes or your players to be at. the level of professionalism and excellence. Always be professional about everything. Research, documents, have something in your hand every time when you coach. I always say, sometimes when we actually at our practice sessions, we tend to go in without any game plans or training plans. And then you go into the game, in a game, you're actually you're having a coaching board, but that is not presented when you're actually doing your practice sessions. That level of professionalism actually feeder into your players as well. They will understand, as that the coach is actually trying to teach us something quite unique and positive. And we also need to be if the simplest things. Also, we're talking about time. Sometimes, punctuality. Some players will actually ignore time whenever there is a training session that needs to start. So the level of professionalism starts within yourself, with you as a coach. And once you start presenting that towards your players, obviously your players will be able to take it home. Appreciate diversity. We gotta understand, obviously, especially the cultural diversities that we have, especially here in South Africa. And I remember what I still as a player, whereby we have obviously the Zulus and we're the Crossers as part of the team. We have the Afrikaners and the English guys. And at some stage, we even went further to say, within our setup in the national team, there's going to be just one way, one language that's going to be spoken in order to for everybody to be accommodated within the setup. You're going to help me with that, Jerry?
Yeah, don't worry.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's very important that you appreciate diversity. You understand diversity. Everybody would feel part of the setup. And it's not an easy thing to do. Because sometimes you find that me being a Zulu, I wanna like if we on tours or we on camp, I wanna spend more time with the Zulu speaking people. We gotta appreciate that. We understand, the diversity, but we gotta have like some sort of limitations, as to how far, those the level of appreciation should be, and in that way it should feed in to the teamwork element, and once you start working closely as a team, it's easy to achieve the set goal. That's the coaches and obviously the players are part of the teamwork element, and we're gonna have to achieve. So free expression of thoughts and ideas. It's up. Okay. Somebody's got a mic on. Free expression of thoughts and ideas. Be willing to listen as a coach. It's not always an element of being looked at or being looked down if somebody is actually expressing themselves about certain things that you're trying to implement as a coach. Understand that there's not a set and cut stone if you're actually doing or presenting or starting a training station, or maybe in a camp. So be prepared that there will be some directions that you as a coach may not want to take, but be prepared that you have to take, and sometimes, some people would come directly to you and express themselves in a very strong manner, but be prepared that you're not going to take that as a negative, but be prepared that you're going to look at it as more of ideas that you're going to improve your program or your setup. Be responsible, be creative, and be innovative, be a leader, so that actually explains itself. your responsibilities is for the team, and the team is all about you. You as a leader, you show that level of professionalism and integrity. You show that level of responsibility, and integrity, the level of professionalism, and you become responsible for the team, be either at training, be either during the games, and be either on tours. So you gotta be more creative in terms of your approach into the games. Be prepared to learn, be prepared to do research, and prepared to listen. Also be innovative, obviously, and that's simple enough. To the next slide, please, Mr. Steve. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
now.
we
still got okay. All right. Okay. So our coach's attribute: enthusiasm. You gotta be energetic all the time. You cannot come on court not really prepared. Energies are down, and the players will fit into your energy. So be a get-go person. Be prepared that you're gonna go in and be ready to actually implement whatever game plans you have and whatever the training sessions that you have. Be ready at all times. Like I said, everything it starts with you as a coach. If you come with a negative enthusiasm, negative spirit, obviously that will actually float into your players. So always have that energy that you're ready to go. Great. Be knowledgeable. You can't come into a game or try to be a coach if you do not have knowledge of what you're actually going into. Understand what wheelchair basketball is all about. And as I said it earlier before, be prepared to learn, be prepared to research, and be prepared to listen, from other coaches, and learn from other coaches as well. Have an understanding, as to what is wheelchair basketball is all about, what is the game is all about. Read and react, as a coach, if the game is switching to a man-to-man from a man-to-man to a zone, so a zone press, have an understanding about that. So your knowledge, fit into an understanding what the game presents to you. Be observant. When you're being observant, you basically read and react in the game. You also be observant what, the surroundings where you're coaching your players is good enough. Be observant of the little things, like if their chairs are broken, if the player is not pushing properly, if the player is hurt, so all of those things, that builds around wheelchair basketball, that builds around the player. Be observant of those things, and the little things that make a massive difference when it comes to your game. So be observant of all that is surrounding, or maybe impacting on the players or your programs as a coach. Okay. Now we're coming through to the most crucial part of being a coach. The type of a person that you are. So this particular information, I actually got it through. There is another coach, I think it is from the States, Mr. Gibson. We need to elaborate a lot when it comes about, or when it speaks a lot about the philosophy. Identify your identity, identify yourself, define yourself, as to what type of person you are. I'm sure the majority of you guys know me personally as an energetic person, a very vocal person when I am actually on court. Now, I cannot, that's my character, that's my personality. So in that way, it offers me an opportunity to, when I'm coaching, that energy that I have will be presented to them, to my players. So I cannot, if you are like a very calm person, subtle person, and then you try to be somebody else that you are not, it will definitely impact on your coaching style. So you gotta define yourself. Get your identity tells you how you're gonna approach your coaching elements, and it goes with the players as well. And there are players who can take. I know some coaches may differ with. There are players who can take a direct instruction from the coach, a very harsh instruction from the coach. Some of the players, they don't. They even cry on court. So the manner that you, as a coach, present yourself to the players, it actually comes from within the character or the type of a person that you are. Coach your personality. Who are you? As a coach, and that your personality, does it define the type of coaching style you're gonna be presenting? And it might sound as if this is overlapping from the first point, of the identity, but your personality actually speaks about what would be your approach. Some coaches are very reserved, they lay back. Some coaches are very outspoken and very vocal. So it's very important that you know the type of coaching, sort of philosophy that you would actually try and apply. How do you want to run your programs? Um, it's one of the elements whereby we seem to miss, from the grassroots level right up to the national level, as to how do we run our programs. What type of programs do I have to run? Am I giving my players the right fundamentals, in order to run those programs? So if you do not understand your program that you want to write, your coaching style, it would become a bit of a challenge for you. So understanding your identity and your personality, it actually defines as to what type of programs you're gonna run, and and then also with that, you're gonna be looking at your what you like to coach. And I know some of the coaches, uh, they 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 um, they run, like they often sometimes actually the zone. I'm coming to the next point as well. Their offense, they wanna actually run the set, or maybe they wanna run the emotional offense, and sometimes they wanna run, straight attack offense. What type of a coach, you know, would you like to be? You know, so at some stage, in Beijing, if I'm not mistaken, 2008, the American team and also the Australian team, I think they came through to the Paralympic Games with pretty much about 3 to 4 coaches. Some of the coaches will be, an offensive coach, and some of the coaches will come through as the defensive coach, and then there are those that will actually be filtered in with in between. So your coaching style, your philosophy, as to what do you like to coach, will give you a better set and understanding as to who you are, and in terms of the coach, what type of a coaching style that you want to apply. And you'll find sometimes some of the coaches will criticize other coaches, of which sometimes we need to pull away from that, especially in our setup, wheelchair basketball. Never criticize, but learn, from what the other coaches are, You know, sometimes you feel like some coaches will rather play, you know, defensively, they want to play zone defense. You know, some other coaches will feel the zone defense is also sort of a lazy team, you know. But there are teams who are very successful when it comes to the zone defense. You look at the Lions team, you know, and when and how they actually play their zone defense. When do they play the 2 men out, you know, and when do they play, you know, a press, a full man, you know, a press? They're very successful. If you look at the Flyers team from the Eastern Cape, their full game is in much of 50% of the, sorry, 60% of their games is basically on the zone. But their offense in transition, it's very, very quick. So they have actually identified their coaching style. You know, they and they obviously coach, you know, as what they want to actually coach their players. You know, how they would want the game, how they would want to approach the game. So it's actually important that, you know, if you're running an let's say a press, you know, how do you recover, you know, into the zone, you know, or into a man-to-man, you know, and therefore it comes back to the last point there, which is very, very crucial, you know, the alignment. That's a tool, you know, your offense and defense. Does it work for your system? Does it actually bring in, you know, the element of telepathy between the two setups? You can't be actually running a man-to-man press, you know, and then your offense is all about sets. And it doesn't help you. Man-to-man basically means high energy, quick, fast breaks, bang, it's a basket. Therefore, your offense and your defense, does it actually ties up? Does they work with each other? You know, when would I actually apply my zone? You know, sort of a press. When would I actually come back? You know, on my, you know, in terms of the defense. You know, I'm going to be actually playing my zone press, my zone defense as well. You know, there's a zone press on offense and there's a zone defense, you know, as well. So it's very crucial that you align your offensive side, you know, to your defensive side. And how do you recover? Very, very crucial, because, you know, you could see, you know, I'm going to go back to the game of the South African senior men losing to Egypt. And there were a lot of gaps because there was no sort of uniqueness in terms of their offense and opposed to their defense, you know, and every single player must understand. You gotta make sure that every single player must understand what type of a game you're gonna be, or what type of a game plan you're gonna be approaching in order to, you know, to have success in your approach on that particular game. So it's quite crucial that, you know, you align those two, you know, in order to have, you know, your coaching style, your coaching philosophy fit into your character. So it's very, very crucial that you know, your ethical, you know, approach into your coaching philosophy is evident, so that your players will actually fit into that system as well. The next slide, Mr. Smith. Duties of a head coach. You know, I'm not gonna go deeper into what are your responsibilities. You know, but obviously, as a coach, you gotta plan your activities, even your training sessions. You gotta have a plan. Now, today, this is what I've done, and then tomorrow, what will be, you know, the game plan. And then it differs. You gotta understand the level of classification and abilities of your players, and that defines what type of plans now and again you're gonna be applying. And without a plan, there are very, very limited chances that you're gonna have success in your games. So you gotta have a very direct strategies within your plans, and your plans and into your practice sessions must fit in what your plans must fit in your plans on your practice session must fit into what or set up to the game situation, because you're helping your players, and our coaches used to tell us about muscle memory. So whatever that you put in into your practices, you become a lazy coach, it's gonna be evident during the games as well. And then if you are a lazy player, it's definitely gonna be evident into your games. So it's very, very important. So you gotta always have a plan. Okay. Head coach must do a team selection. You must do the reports. And those reports actually goes with the stats. And if your stats are accurate, you're looking at your outside shooters, you're looking at your inbounders, you're looking at your defensive players, you're looking at your there's a whole lot. You're looking at your rebounders, offensive rebounders, defensive rebounders. You gotta have all of that, and that report, it actually tells you as to how you're gonna approach a game. Do I need at what point do I need? Who is my strongest rebounder? Who is my strongest offensive player? Where are they shooting? Are they 3-point shooters? Are they layup guys? All of those things are elements that when you do your selection, your team selection, you gotta consider. So your statistics, which I believe, and I've seen that Coach T is very, very good with that. I think Mr. Dlamini as well, Wiseman, because in this basketball we've got too many Dlaminis. But Wiseman is also doing those stats, which is brilliant to see that our guys are actually getting more and more involved into that level. So it's very crucial that you do your report and you do your stats. Okay, and the coaches make sure that they keep the plan, and the plan is implemented pretty much in daily, or in any or in any training session, in every training session, not any, pardon me, in every training session. So in that way, you will know that there is a bit of consistency, that is applied, over there. Okay. The coach of the team provides information. There's lots that the coach will have to do, and then obviously some of those responsibilities can be shifted to the assistant coach. That every information that comes through has to go via the coach, even if it's on court, it's off court, but your responsibilities, you have to actually provide that information to your team. Okay. Obviously, the coach is responsible for the team. The bench personnel. And we have seen it in our super sport games and our local game. Let me just put it that way. That the behavior of the players sometimes is triggered by the behavior of the coach, towards the officials. So and there are certain elements or certain points where the coach can speak to the referees, and the manner in which the coach speaks to the referees. The coach cannot speak anyhow to the referees, nor the players. And even sometimes, we tend to scream a lot, and say, I'm the captain, so the referee must hear me, So that responsibility needs to lie with the coach as well, and the assistant coach to calm down the team and be able to control the team, be at training sessions or during the games. Okay. Obviously, the coach will train and evaluate players, how do we, what are those points? Sometimes fitness, injuries, incapacity, and discipline. And that's a coach's responsibility, not anybody else. And then your team manager can come in as well, in any issues that pertains off court matters, but during the games, or practice sessions, the coach will have to train and evaluate players. If the players are unfit, obviously you're gonna do your stats, and then your stats will tell you, that yesterday Sipa, performed, or push so many seconds, from the baseline to baseline. Then the next day push so many seconds. So fitness level is crucial, and that's why it's very crucial as well for all the coaches, to do the off-season training, and that helps, to with the evaluation part, of your players. Some you can have a plan whereby you do your evaluation maybe quarterly or maybe monthly, just to have that consistency, you require from your players. Okay. Then obviously the assistant coach will help, the coach, and sometimes, if the coach is not available, the assistant coach will take over the responsibilities of being a head coach. And once again, it goes back to your ethical and your honesty, that the assistant coach should be giving the assistant coach the same respect that you want, from your players or from the assistant coach. If you give the assistant coach that respect, obviously the players themselves will respect the assistant coach, even if you as a head coach, you're not part of the game or part of the session at that particular time in a moment. The next session, Baba Smith. Okay. This is one area that, probably we lack, in our setup as coaches, practice plan. You'll see that some coaches will just go in and get the players to push, just push your chair, but you do not show the players, as to how they should push their chair, and it's very much evident, for me, what I've observed with the national team as well, whereby, the basic elements of the games have to be taught at the high performance level. And I don't think it's actually fair to the national coaches that some of the players they don't even know how to push their chairs. Some of them are pushing from the push rims. Some of them are using the thumbs into the tires and fingers into the push rims in order to push their chairs. Some of the players, they don't even can't even shoot free throws. The ball can't even reach the ring. Those elements have got to change. And then even when we do the selections, players need to be assessed around those elements, because you lose a lot of games by a virtue of missing 2 free throws. So your practice sections must be effective and efficient. And there's no better words for beyond those. You understand your players, and you know your philosophy as a coach, and then you have got to make sure that your plan, you've got your book, you've got your coaching board, it's there. And we got to understand some other elements that we actually facing in South Africa, though, that some players, it's easy to see things done, and some players can take the theoretical part and be told, and it can be done. So how do you then bridge that gap? how do I bring in a player that doesn't know how to take instructions, but person B is able to take instructions, and hence I'm saying, even in a practice session, within your plan, you go into the practice session, have your coach's board, show the players what you need to do. Even if you have to draw, do that. And sometimes you can play a reverse psychology. Let the players tell you what they feel what you were trying to tell them, and then it's easier to identify whether the player A and player B did understand, effectively, and efficiently your plan, gotta keep the players focused and engaged, and limits a lot of talking on court. How do you want them to be focused? Make sure that you give them an element of pushing around on court. We struggle here in South Africa. I can tell you now. Basketball has got to be. You gotta have communication on court, but you'll find that a few players are able to communicate on court. They can communicate verbally, or some of the players can communicate via gestures. So, keep them focused. Do not bore them with training drills. Hence, I was saying earlier on, be innovative. Come up with new ideas. Read. And do research. What other coaches are doing out there. Okay, and you gotta keep learning. You as a coach, your practice plan, your players tell you something. Their body elements will tell you something. Whether are they learning, what you're teaching them. Are you learning anything from your players? Are they giving what you actually? Are they giving what you give instruction to? Or are they giving you back what you're actually giving them? So be prepared to have that within your practice plan. Or your practice plan must have, areas whereby you developing skills, and that will improve the team performance. So I think probably it's going to be on my next slide, whereby we speak about, the fundamentals. What type of skills, within my practice plan, I must have, what fundamentals must I actually teach my players, to improve the team performance. Is my team a low energy team? Is my team a high energy team? High energy team, is it a controlled high energy team? You look at looking at all of those angles, and then definitely you would know whether your team is actually giving you what you need, and does it fit in to what I said earlier on, to my coaching style, Okay, like I said on the top there, keep your huddles minimum. Can't bother players. Try not to actually have them talking and calling them into setup and speaking to them and all that. We don't want to bore them. Minimize those things. And therefore you're gonna have them engaged and be focused. Okay. I mentioned earlier on that use like a game like growth. Whatever that you teach, you must be what you feel should be applied on court. Still our players, few of them are taking layups on the left hand side using the right hand, right hand side, help the players, improve the weak side, or the weak points, teach them all, once again, fundamentals, as to how to take a layup with the left hand. How do I improve my players' weak side? How do I then maximize my players' strong side? So it helps. It helps a lot. To improve your game plan, and also to improve your team performance. Keep high standards. you cannot actually drop a standard as a coach. Some of the players will not like it. Some of the players will feel, are being shouted at, and the coaches got favoritisms and all those things. Understand that there's such a standard you want to keep, and those standards are based on the team ethics. So you're looking more into the team rather than you're looking more into the individuals. So always keep high standards when you actually having your practice plan. Thanks, Mr. Smith. Game plan. We spoke about the practice plan, then you gave a game plan. There are plenty of playbooks out there. You can always create your own playbook. Take from the research, points that you feel will fit into your own type of approach or type of plan, and your playbooks are crucial, because some teams, maybe let me rather go back to our team, when I was still playing. I think we had about 12 game plans, before London and Beijing. And I'm not sure whether those game plans, are being implemented into our national setup, But as a coach, you need to have game plans. You've got 4 seconds to go. Front court, inbound. What do I need to do? That has got to be within your game plan. And your playbooks will help you to show the players, because even once again, when your playbook will have all this, drawings, some of coaches will use, the pointers in order for the players to understand. So you will have that playbook every time, wherever you go, in your practice sessions, and also, when you're actually approaching your game. That will actually give you a perfect indication as to, the progress of the team, the performance of the team going through the season. Okay. Understand your own system. Okay, what do I want to apply? And how do I then actually apply that? How do I look into individuals' elements? My players is player A able to shoot layups, from the left-hand side, using his left. Is my players understanding how to pass to the low pointer, the agility of the players, in terms of the skills level. Is it working for my system? That game plan tells you who you want to play at what points in a game. It gives you a better perspective of the whole session, of the whole season as it unfolds. When and where and how it should be applied. So every single time, you cannot take the same game plan and approach team A today, and then take a same game plan to approach team B tomorrow. So because the dynamics of the other team, the way the other teams are playing, it tells you that you gotta change your game plan. So you cannot change the game plan right there and then. Yes, if you reach a certain level of understanding from the players, it's actually easy might just become easy to change your game plans. However, it's always better to go into a game and having done your own, scouting and assessing the other teams and say, okay, this team, this is what I'm going to be doing, and at what point and how I'm going to be approaching the game. Okay. If you do not do your game plans, you have then you limit fear, okay, and uncertainness. you know. So you being organized and having a game plan, those uncertainness and fear of approaching a game will go out the window, because you know this is what you want to do and this is how you're going to approach the game, you know. With that particular game plan, you know, it's crucial, very crucial as to, you know, what will actually offer you, you know, as a coach. You know, I'm sure you guys can see on the left-hand side, the other game plan I said why, you know, and it's important to ask yourself, why must I have the game plan? You know, all of those points, you know, pointed out to you there. There could be more, you know, and I'll say to you guys, this is more going to be an engaged presentation, you know, because after this, you guys will also be saying, you know what, Spa, I feel this is what is needed also, you know, under game plans. You know, I'm more than, you know, open to receive those type of comments and those type of ideas, because it helps to build each the individual's confidence, and also, you know, the structure itself, you know, and say, you know what, this is what we're going to be applying. And I'm going to be trying by all means, you know, that whatever that we share, you know, within the structure of Wheelchair Basketball South Africa, we're not going to be sort of repeating ourselves. You know, if I'm not there tomorrow, somebody else that will come in will see what has been done, you know, the previous years. So, and those ideas will be shared, should be shared, you know, amongst, the coaches that we have within, you know, our structures. Okay. List of fundamentals. Once you have a system to play in, you must identify the necessary fundamentals that your players need. Okay. And maybe from there, I should move to the next slide, because that will tell you as to what I'm talking about if I'm to speak about fundamentals. Fundamentals, you know, are basically the skills that, you know, are required or acquired through a player to have in order to play wheelchair basketball. Your dribbling, your shooting, your passing, you know, you name it. How do you correct, how do you perfect those fundamentals? You know, how to improve those fundamentals from the players, you know? And you cannot play basketball if those fundamentals are not being polished. And I'm going to be going back again to what I've been observing, you know, from the years I've been playing to the level we are today, you know, that certain players, you know, within the structure, they do not have the necessary fundamentals. They do not have the necessary skills in order to perform at a high level. So it's your responsibility as a coach, you know, to teach the players how to push the chair, how to shoot, you know, the beef method. You know, we're not going to be speaking about the beef method at the high performance level. Those fundamentals should be taught or be placed at the low level of the game. By the time we reach the highest level of basketball in our structure, those fundamentals should be polished. Yes, there's always going to be a room, you know, room for mistakes, you know, but at least if the skills have been polished from the baseline, from the core, it will be easy, you know, for coaches, you know, at the high performance to actually be able to take it up and move forward with the players. One of my favorite coaches, you know, he's also from the States, probably Coach T would know him. He once said, "Success is never final. Failure is never fatal. And it's courage that counts." Be courageous. Be courageous in everything that you do, you know, because listen to me, because I'm going to be going slower. the proper and quicker executions of fundamentals is the key to success. The proper and quick execution of fundamentals is the key to success. Do focus on little things, do them properly and quick. Do not jump and expect the players to shoot a 3-point shot if the players is not able to shoot a 2-point shot under the basket. You focus on the little things and you build on those, and it becomes narrow as it goes up as a pyramid. So that will be my presentation to you today, guys. If anyone has got any questions, you may shoot. And if anyone has got any contribution or you want to say something, would be points taken. Highly appreciate it for your time. Thank you.
Can I ask those that have questions just to put up their hands so that we can control the questions? Let's not be shy, guys. If you've got any questions or comments, please fire away. Trooper, could I ask you to maybe make just an observation and a comment, but before you do so, is it Fungo has a question? Go ahead, Fungo.
Thank you, Gary. I just wanted to check, man, under the roles and responsibilities or the duties of a coach, I'm not sure, shouldn't we link also the roles of a player so that they also understand what are their roles? I'm not sure, it maybe is on the next slide that will be coming maybe on the 16th or maybe before the end of the course. Because I was thinking that maybe we should have linked them, or here when we deal with the role of the coaches, we also deal with the role of the players so that we can be able to compare also on that one. Thank you.
Yeah, from that side, that's definitely coming in the next presentations. We do have, you know, roles of the captain and the players and the team. So I'm sure Sipa will cover that in a later one.
Correct, Jerry. Thanks for that question, sir.
Wiseman, your question?
Evening, everyone. Actually, it's not a question, but it's, I don't know how to put it, but it's something that I've observed, like with some of the coaches. When the coach has got his favorite players on court and they seem to be failing. So, and now the coach, like you find that he doesn't have a proper game plan, and then he just freezes on the bench and he doesn't know what to say. So how do you, like, as an athlete, how do you deal with a coach like that?
Thanks, Wise. It's very, very crucial, Wise, and it's a fair question to ask, and a very, very good question to ask. It is tough to say, you know, the players should actually look into what the coaches are doing, and the coaches, you know, if the coach doesn't know what they need to do, you know, because the coach didn't have a game plan, you know. It goes back to the element of that philosophy, you know, and the responsibilities, and obviously the game plan as well. And you'll want to make sure as a coach that when you're going on court, you've got everything there. Yes, sometimes the game will never shift towards your direction, or maybe offer you, you know, the success that you're hoping for. But it will also give you offer you a learning aspect of the game, you know, and if your philosophy and your practice plan was actually done, you know, during your practice session, so to say, that the player would not be in a position to look at the coach in that manner, because the coach have had, you know, a game plan or a practice plan, and then we'll have a game plan, and then that everybody is buying into it as players. And this is why I was saying we need to eliminate or move away from just, hey, go in there, push, play this ball, attack, shoot. You know, you gotta be strategic about everything. You know, you gotta know what you're hoping to achieve during a game. You know, and you'll see players, Mr. Dlamini, shooting from different angles. You know, and awkward angles, and and positions whereby they're not comfortable in. How do they end up getting themselves into those positions? It's coach's responsibility to actually identify that to the player, and the player should not actually be going back, because if the outcomes of the games are negative, it's impacting on everybody, you know. So you should not, you know, sort of look at the coach that way. If you feel there is anything that you want to voice out, rather it goes through, you know, once again, to the duties of the captain, and the captain will actually take all players concerns and address it with the head coach or the assistant coach, you know. In that way you will avoid that situation of not appreciating, you know, your coach, and also being negative about the coach, you know, saying, you know, I probably we lost the game because the coach froze. We didn't have, you know what I mean? He didn't have any game plan, you know, in coming through to the game. So if you want to approach anything towards the coach as a player, rather you go through that via your captain, your team captain, and those responsibilities and duties will be coming up on the 16th.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
It's Pung of yeah, under practice plan. I just want to check, man, under the bullet develop skills and improve team performance. Because to develop the skill and improve the team performance, it comes with the equipment. So I just want to check with you. Do the teams in the provinces have the right equipment to assist the players or the athletes in developing the skills and also improving the performance? So that when we are coaching, we know that the players are accommodated when it comes to equipment that is supposed to be used during practice session or during game sessions. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, I'm not sure that question is directly to me, but I'm gonna try and respond to it, sir. Does the provinces have the right equipment? They should have the right equipment. They should have. Otherwise, you won't be playing wheelchair basketball if you do not have a wheelchair. Do you have cones, you know, to do, you know, to use during your practice sessions? Do you have a coaching board? You as a coach, you know, you can always look to buy those, as in like as your own asset. And then and in terms of wheelchairs, it also comes to your relationship with your provincial structures. You know, if they can help, you know, your provinces or your teams within those provinces to access the usage of pitches of the basketball chairs, you know. So it may not be the relevant question for this particular session. However, there is, I'm not sure which provinces you're in, there is a chairman of the province that should be looking after that sector, you know, being able to answer you with regards to that. Thank you.
Go ahead with your question there, Rakolo. So I did mute your mic so that go ahead. Your microphone doesn't seem to be working at all. I think if you can just maybe type your comment in the chat and I'll read it out from the side because your sound is not good. Go ahead, Masakwana. Right, any other questions so long? I'm just, are you going to type your message there, Rakola? Go ahead, Fred. Yeah, okay, that's better. Okay, I said that was better, but it's actually not great. I can hardly hear you. Sorry, Rakola, your sound is very bad there. We cannot hear a word you're saying. Fred, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I am. Thank you, Gary. Not that I want to ask a question, but I just want to appreciate the efforts because I can see, I mean, just listening to Gumbi now, I can relate to a lot of what he's saying, you know, starting from coaches not having a proper plan. And then it filters down to the players, and there is a lack of cohesion with everybody involved in the team. So I think this is something that I think a lot of people need to hear. Even players that have been playing basketball for a long time, it's very easy to get lost along the way, even if you've been playing basketball for quite some time, because a lot happens in the game. And if these things are not identified and fixed in time, they can actually get, you know, get worse as they go. I know you, Gary mentioned that you know, WBSA will try and enforce that all the coaches have this kind of training. I think it's a good thing because it will help to reinforce, you know, the principles and everything. So I'm just struggling to you know, because I know the magnitude of the problem. I'm just struggling to just figure out how we can get everybody on the same sort of wavelength, because I mean, as a player that have been playing basketball for a long time, in South Africa, I've seen a lot of things change. In fact, I've seen a lot of things go wrong. And with that in mind, I'm just trying to figure out how do we get everybody on the same wavelength, because I think that's where we need to go, because my feeling is we have deviated very far away from what the standard should be. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you very much for organizing this, and I think it's a good way to get us back on track. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Fred. Yeah, that's exactly right with your observations. You know, there has been a period of sort of lack of cohesion and follow through on a lot of aspects. But that is exactly what we're trying to fix. And I'm actually going to ask Trooper to come in here in that you know, in the year that he's been working with the junior program and the high performance setup, he's identified quite a few of the shortcomings, and you know, working with SIPA and Trooper, that's exactly what we're going to try and fix. Trooper, if I could just ask you to make comment on sort of the whole philosophy and building the coaching pool, etc., etc.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry. Hello, everybody. I'm Trooper Johnson, and as you all know, I took over, you know, the U23 and U25 programs last year, and I came from the United States coaching pool. I coached the U.S. Paralympic team for 9 years on the women's side, and then I went over to the South African teams. And I think one thing that I just want to say is that I'm extremely impressed in how this is set up, right? In the United States, this is one of the things that we are lacking. And to have you all, you know, be able to come in here and have a program like this to where you can share ideas and get concepts and try to get on the same page, it's an incredible opportunity for everybody. And I know that Fred, you know, you just mentioned that it's important for everybody to get on the same page. And this is the first step for that, to have a program like this where SIPA's coming in and being able to have an educational component that is very consistent, that everybody will be getting the same information, everybody will be able to apply the same information, and everybody will be able to work and share ideas moving forward to help build the program of wheelchair basketball throughout South Africa. I think it's an incredible opportunity that you have here. And I hope that everybody understands and uses it in the right way as an opportunity to grow. One thing that I've learned, I've coached for a long time, but one thing that I've learned is you never want to stop learning, right? You always want to learn. You can always learn from somebody, from something, from your players, from other coaches, from other programs. There's always something that you can learn. And there's always something that you can grab to make yourself better and to move yourself forward. When I was working with both the U23 and U25 programs, it was very evident that there is, you know, a large degree of just basic skills that are lacking within some of the players that we were working with. And so hopefully, you know, having this move forward and having the coaches around South Africa buy into this program will help identify the need and importance to develop basic skills so that these athletes can grow and become better athletes within their local programs, and also help move themselves forward into potential national team athletes. I want to thank you all, you know, for being here. And I think the one thing that you know, and Wiseman can probably vouch for this, the one thing that I want to just stress is that everybody will find an issue along the way, right? But it's very important to find the solution to that issue, whether it's a solution with a practice plan, whether somebody just brought up an equipment issue. And there are going to be equipment issues just because of the way that the program is set up and the different resource needs that different players and different programs have throughout the country. But it's important that you figure out a creative way to solve those issues. And sometimes you can do drills without a chair. Sometimes you can do drills without cones. Like figure out a way to solve the issue, get creative as a coach, get creative as players, and work towards moving everything forward instead of looking and focusing on what we don't have. But I'm excited to be here, and I hope that I can be a resource for everybody here too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trooper. Any further comments? If not, we can wrap this session up, and then obviously Thursday evening, same time, we will have the second session. What we will do is, I have obviously recorded the session. I will upload it to our YouTube channel and share the link with you all. And then the presentation sessions, each presentation that is presented at these sessions, we will share with you. As I said, if you can just all get me your contact details, I will start a WhatsApp group for this group of coaches, and then we can share all information accordingly. So if there aren't any more questions or comments, we can call it a night before Eskom cuts us short anyway.
All righty. Now, thank you very much, guys. And Coach T, thanks, man. You definitely are going to be a resource to us, and especially to me, so I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to this year, and hopefully, it will pay, good dividends, for everybody, and for the structure, and and the game that we love most. Thanks, man.
Guys, just to clarify as well, we have the first high performance camp taking place on the weekend, basically from the weekend of the 3rd to the 5th, is the first sort of senior men trials and camp, followed by the practical workshop for you guys, 6th to the 8th of May March in Mandeville. And then that weekend after that is the second phase of the high performance camp. What we're opening up, if you guys want to come through to the weekend sessions of that first weekend to basically observe how Coach Trooper runs a camp, and there'll be certain activities that he could involve you in. It's a good opportunity for those that can get to the camp to obviously pick up some extra skills and learn a bit. So just those that are interested to join us, just let me know as well. All right, guys. If there's nothing further, we will call it a night for tonight. And just a reminder, Thursday at 7 o'clock, we will have the second session, but the link will be sent out by latest Thursday afternoon.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everybody.